Xbox Game Pass is basically its own little shop of horrors, and its shelves are stacked with terrifying tales of all shapes and sizes. If you've already tested your nerves against blockbuster titles like Resident Evil and feel like your nightmares could use some fresh fuel, here are a few of the scariest titles on Game Pass that you might not have bumped into yet.
Visage is a first-person adventure through a haunted house which seems to have been built with the sole purpose of keeping you on edge absolutely all the time. You'll find your heart skipping a beat every time a light bulb flickers or you hear a faint sound off in the distance. Most of the time, it turns out to be nothing. A trick of the light, a dodgy floorboard, or just your mind playing tricks on you. Most of the time that is, but not always. Because when things get bleak and scary, they get really bleak and scary in Visage. Things get so grim, we probably can't even show you the introduction to the game without a slap on the wrist or a content warning. Once you get past that though, all kinds of horrifying spectres and gruesome spectacles appear out of thin air as the ghosts of those who lived here before come out to play. And not in a fun Casper way either, like just moving a ball about. Boot the game up on the Xbox Series X, you'll get to see all of their tricks in stunning 4K 60. Although, maybe you don't want to. If you manage to keep it together long enough to explore the house in its entirety, you might be able to uncover its full bloody history. But that is a very big if.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. A group of strangers awake in an unknown location and are forced to participate in a series of deadly games by a mysterious masked man. It's a little bit Saw, a little bit escape room, and a whole lot of chilling, thrilling fun. It's Zero Escape the Nonary Games, which is hopefully a misnomer. I mean, there must be some escape, right? It's the ultimate test of how well your brain works under pressure as you try to decipher devious puzzles while knowing full well that a single wrong move could have lethal consequences, like doing a crossword in permanent marker. And things only feel more intense as the story progresses and you get to know the other contestants better, with the game's vivid writing ensuring that each character feels like a fully formed person. A fully formed person that you would just hate to see gruesomely murdered because your problem-solving abilities weren't up to snuff. With its twisting story and high-stakes puzzles, Zero Escape the Nonary Games is ideal for those who want to have their brains teased and their blood curdled at the very same time.
After spending a few games getting chased around by terrifying monsters, it feels like you deserve a shot as the one doing the chasing and the terrifying. And that's where Carrion comes in. In this side-scroller, you get to play as a tentacled mass of rage and destruction as it makes its escape from the sort of strange governmental facility where tentacled masses are usually held. Along the way, you'll get to do all the standard blob monster things, crawling through air vents, slurping down off the ceiling to sneak up on an enemy, and tossing human beings around like ragdolls using your mighty tentacles. Whoa, it feels good to be a monster. The more carnage you cause, the more fresh, tasty DNA you'll have to gobble up, and the more monstrous you'll be able to become. But maybe once you've finally absorbed everyone, things will finally calm down. So, carry on, my wayward son. There will be peace when you are done.
You know, in some ways, Prey is the ultimate horror game because it makes you afraid of literally everything.
If you've ever wondered what the Old West looked like when it was going through its awkward goth phase, then look no further than Weird West.
Whoa, there is way more to it than that. You wake up aboard a space station to find that the whole place has been absolutely wrecked by a species of shape-shifting aliens, the worst kind, I think we can all agree. As a result, you never know where the next threat is going to come from, and pretty soon you'll be casting suspicious glances at every piece of furniture that gives you a bad vibe. As an Arcane Studios game, Prey naturally features a labyrinthine open world full of shortcuts and secret paths for you to explore if you're feeling brave. It makes for a nerve-wracking game of risk and reward. Sure, it looks like there's a valuable stash of ammo just down that corridor, but it could also be an alien trickster just lying in wait to eat your face off. Arcane's ingenious level design proved to be a perfect match for the horror genre, and we can't wait to see them tap into those spooky vibes again when Redfall arrives on Xbox Game Pass in the future. For all the latest on it, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. It's not an alien, we promise. Did it just wink at me?
If you've ever wondered what the Old West looked like when it was going through its awkward goth phase, then look no further than Weird West. This isometric immersive sim might not look like a horror game on the face of it, but it takes place inside a spooky sandbox world where vampires and zombies scamper about alongside the cowboys and girls. It features 5 different characters whose stories you get to play through, including a vengeful bounty hunter, a demon-battling tribal leader, and a werewolf who may or may not be the Messiah. So there's a lot going on, and a lot of it is on the scarier side of spooky. In such a place, it might be tempting to take a kill-it-with-fire approach to everything in sight. But be warned, not only is the game harder than it looks, but the Weird West will adapt to all of the decisions you make. So, if you don't want to find yourself surrounded by vengeful townspeople on top of all the other things that go bump in the night, you might want to pick a slightly subtler path through this strange and deadly place.
Telling Lies is different to the rest of the list. It's more of a psychological horror than a there are demons everywhere and the walls are trying to eat me kind of horror. You won't find any ghouls or goblins here, just a bunch of regular people who might not be everything they seem. The way the game goes about telling you this story is totally unique. It hands you a vast database of video clips, all involving the same 4 characters: a nurse, an environmental activist, a webcam model, and a man named David. Admittedly, one of those stands out as the least interesting one. There are hundreds of clips to peruse, but the game doesn't tell you what order to look at them in, or provide you with any larger context. As you work your way through the footage, you'll slowly piece together a picture of betrayal, deception, and the sinister intentions which lie behind kind smiles. Telling Lies might be one of the most unique pieces of storytelling in all of gaming, offering a slow-burning horror that's sure to haunt you for weeks to come. It's also not afraid of a jump scare or two either, as we discovered over on Twitch.
Oh, flippin' heck! As if! And while you're in the investigating sort of mood, AI the Somnian Files also deserves your attention. Here, you play as a detective named Date who works through some of Tokyo's toughest cases with a little help from his trusty partner, Aba. Oh, and also, Aba is an artificial intelligence who lives in his left eye socket. Probably important to note. As you try to solve a grisly murder, you'll encounter all kinds of interesting characters, from internet celebrities to cold-blooded gangsters and sleazy politicians. They aren't always as forthcoming as you would like them to be, but fortunately, you and Aba are able to use some futuristic tech magic to inception yourself inside their heads and explore their subconscious to look for clues. But it's here where the horror comes in. Because of course, anytime you go rooting around in the basement of someone's brain, you're bound to find something you really didn't want to see. Except mine, of course. Totally normal brain right here, not hiding anything at all.
Now for a game that's so scary you might actually die. Darkest Dungeon. In this dungeon-crawling RPG, you and your party will battle your way through a series of procedurally generated chambers, dealing with whatever nasty creatures happen to come your way. There's some choice loot to be found if you make it far enough, but you'll have to keep one eye on each character's stress level as you go. If you let it climb too high, and they'll become vulnerable to all sorts of afflictions, like becoming so petrified with fear that they're unable to move. Max it out completely, and they might even have a full-blown heart attack. So not only is Darkest Dungeon a thrilling RPG with a great cast of characters and a delightfully creepy art style, but it's also a timely reminder to take care of your mental health while you're working. And that goes for whether you work in an office or in an underground layer full of hideous monsters.
Finally, we've got a series that isn't the most hidden of gems, but still has to be included in this list, the Evil Within series. Born from the twisted mind of Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami, both of these games are every bit as disturbing as you would expect. In this third-person survival series, you start out as a detective investigating a multiple homicide which took place inside a mental hospital. And as hard as this may be to believe, things actually get worse from there. Pretty soon, both games have you fending off unimaginable monstrosities. From barbed wired coated wolves to stiletto wearing lamps and a hammer wielding dude with a safe locked around his head. The enemies here are so bizarre that you never have any idea what the game is going to throw at you next. Just that it will be completely petrifying. Where Visage slowly scrapes away at your nerves, the Evil Within games have you on full-on fight or flight mode from first minute till last, as you desperately try to scrounge together enough stray bullets and stamina to stay alive another minute.
Any one of these titles is sure to raise your heart rate and get the hairs on the back of your neck standing to attention, so dive into the Xbox Game Pass library now and get stuck into one of these scary stories. Sound off in the comments about any other horror cult classics you've stumbled onto, especially those involving actual cults. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye!